Have you ever stopped yourself from asking for help, not because you didn't need it, but because you didn't want to trouble anyone? This quiet hesitation is something many seniors carry deep inside. It's not always spoken out loud, but it's felt in the way you say, "I'll be fine," when you're not. It shows up when you turn down an invitation, not because you don't want to go, but because you don't want someone to rearrange their day just for you. Take the story of Herbert, an 84-year-old widower. He once spent every weekend with his daughter's family, but as walking became harder, he began saying no more often. When asked why, he admitted softly, "I don't want them to slow down for me. They've got their own lives." His family never made him feel unwelcome. Still, that hidden fear that his presence might become a weight pushed him into silence. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. The truth is, many older adults feel this way. And it's not weakness, it's love, it's dignity. It's the natural psychology of wanting to give, not take. In today's video, we'll explore the hidden reasons behind this feeling and why it says more about your strength than your weakness. As we age, many of us begin to carry a quiet question in our hearts. Am I becoming a burden? It doesn't arrive all at once. It shows up in small ways. Maybe you hesitate before asking your son to drive you to the doctor. Maybe you stay silent about a health worry because you don't want your daughter to lose sleep. Or perhaps you skip a family gathering, not because you don't care, but because you don't want anyone to rearrange their busy schedule. This feeling is deeply human. Seniors often grew up in a culture that valued strength, independence, and sacrifice for others. For decades, you were the one giving the parent, the provider, the steady presence others leaned on. Now, when the roles slowly shift, it can feel uncomfortable. Some even see needing help as weakness, when in truth, it's simply part of life's natural cycle. The truth is, many older adults share this unspoken fear. And it doesn't mean you are weak or unwanted. It reflects dignity, love, and the desire to protect those you care about. In this video, we'll explore why this psychology is so common and how understanding it can bring you peace instead of guilt. One of the most powerful fears many seniors quietly carry is the loss of independence. For much of life, independence isn't just a skill. It's part of identity. You spent decades making decisions, caring for others, running a household, or managing a career, to suddenly depend on someone for small tasks like cooking, driving, or even opening a jar can feel like more than just inconvenience. It feels like losing a piece of yourself. As the body changes with age, this fear becomes sharper. Physical strength and energy naturally decline in the 70 seconds and 80 seconds. Recovery from minor illnesses or falls takes longer. Simple outings, like shopping or walking across a parking lot, can feel uncertain. Each of these moments whispers the same message: I can't do what I used to do. Herbert, an 84-year-old widower, experienced this shift. He loved spending weekends with his daughter's family, but as his mobility declined, he began declining invitations. "I don't want them rearranging their lives around me," he explained. What he didn't say out loud was that asking for help made him feel like he was letting go of his independence. Psychologists note that independence is strongly tied to self-worth. After decades of being the caregiver, the provider, or the decision-maker, it's deeply unsettling to reverse roles. Many seniors hesitate to admit they need help because it feels like surrender. They would rather quietly endure discomfort than risk feeling dependent. But here's the hidden truth. The fear of losing independence isn't about pride alone. It's also about love. Seniors don't want to be the reason their children or grandchildren feel stressed or restricted. That protective instinct, so natural in parenting, remains even when roles change. The challenge is that avoiding help often creates more isolation, declining visits, skipping outings, or ignoring small health concerns may protect independence in the short term, but it can also shrink life's joys. The key is reframing independence not as doing everything alone, but as choosing how and when to accept support. True independence in later life means making decisions that protect dignity, safety, and connection. Accepting a ride, using a walker, or asking for help with groceries doesn't erase your independence, it preserves it. Because independence isn't lost when you accept care. It's lost when fear keeps you from living fully. One of the deepest psychological struggles in later life is the quiet battle between dignity and dependency. For most seniors, dignity is not just a word. It is the essence of how they see themselves. It comes from a lifetime of contributing, raising families, working hard, and standing tall through challenges. Dependency often feels like the opposite, needing to lean on others for things once done effortlessly. This conflict shows up in subtle ways. You might brush off a health symptom, telling yourself, "It's nothing, I'll manage." You might refuse to let your children help with bills or transportation, not because you can't use the help, but because accepting it feels like admitting weakness. In truth, it's about protecting dignity. The sense that you are still capable, valuable, and whole. Take the story of Henry, a 6-year-old who ignored blurry vision and tingling feet. He didn't want to burden anyone with constant doctor visits. Later, he learned he had early-stage diabetes. His avoidance showed how dignity often overrides self-care. He didn't see it as neglect, he saw it as strength, the same strength that had carried him through decades. Cultural values also shaped this struggle. In American society, independence and productivity are praised as markers of success. Seniors who grew up in this culture may feel that asking for help contradicts everything they were taught. For years, they were the ones giving financially, emotionally, practically. To suddenly rely on others can feel like reversing a sacred role. The very desire to protect dignity can deepen isolation. By refusing help, many seniors unintentionally cut themselves off from connection, joy, and safety. For instance, Grace, a woman in her 70s, stopped visiting certain relatives because encounters left her feeling drained and judged. Stepping back was a way of holding on to dignity, but also meant fewer bonds of support. Psychologists explain that this tension comes from a fear of being valued only for utility. When young, people appreciate what you do. In older years, the question becomes, will they still love me if I can no longer give as much? That thought often fuels the belief that dependence equals burden. True dignity doesn't come from doing everything alone. It comes from recognizing worth beyond productivity, from knowing that your presence, wisdom, love, and history are irreplaceable. To those who care for you, helping isn't a burden. It's an honor. Many adult children describe caring for a parent not as duty, but as gratitude for years of love received. The path forward is not to deny the conflict, but to reframe it. Accepting support is not surrender, it's partnership. It's the wisdom of knowing when to let others share the load. By allowing others to help, you give them dignity too, letting them express love, compassion, and responsibility. The dignity versus dependency conflict is real, but it doesn't have to end in guilt. Instead, it can become a bridge where dignity is preserved, not by rejecting help, but by embracing it as a shared act of love. As people grow older, one of the most noticeable shifts is the quiet shrinking of social circles. What was once a life filled with friends, gatherings, and constant connection often narrows into fewer visits, fewer phone calls, and more time spent alone. On the surface, it might look like seniors are simply avoiding people, but the reasons are often more complex and deeply tied to psychology. One of the strongest drivers of social withdrawal is the fear of being a burden. Many older adults turn down invitations, not because they've lost interest in companionship, but because they worry about inconveniencing others. For example, Herbert, the widower we met earlier, often skipped family weekends because he didn't want his daughter rearranging her life. Another reason circles shrink is relational fatigue. After decades of navigating friendships, family dynamics, and social obligations, many seniors feel the emotional cost outweighs the joy. Small betrayals, disappointments, or misunderstandings over the years leave invisible scars. By the time someone reaches their 70s or 80s, they may choose peace over pretense. Illa, a 79-year-old retired teacher, experienced this firsthand. She once loved sharing her life stories with younger relatives, but over time, she noticed their distracted glances at phones and polite nods. Being unheard was more painful than being alone. Slowly, she pulled back, choosing silence rather than risking dismissal. There's also the natural shrinking of energy. Driving across town, attending long gatherings, or engaging in small talk takes more out of seniors than it once did. Martin, in his 70s, admitted he no longer forces himself to attend every event. Instead, he invests in the few relationships that bring genuine warmth. Physical and health challenges further limit circles. Hearing changes, reduced mobility, or slower recovery from illnesses make outings more difficult. Even if seniors want to participate, the effort can feel overwhelming. Sometimes, rather than explaining limitations, they quietly retreat. Social withdrawal can also stem from avoiding stress and drama. Grace, for example, stopped visiting certain relatives because every visit ended in gossip or criticism. Protecting her peace became more important than maintaining appearances. For many, stepping away from toxic or draining interactions is a sign of maturity, not isolation. While solitude can be healing, too much withdrawal can create loneliness. Emma, 77, found this after withdrawing from social life following her husband's death. At first, silence felt comforting, but over the years, it became heavy. She realized only later, through small interactions in a senior yoga class, that human connection is a lifeline. The reasons social circles shrink are layered fear of being a burden, relational fatigue, feeling unheard, limited energy, avoiding toxic interactions, and natural health or social changes. The result is fewer people, but often deeper bonds. Many seniors feel relief focusing on relationships that truly matter. Victoria, 73, reflected on her weekly walks with a friend slowly fading. While bittersweet, it created space to invest in newer, more meaningful connections. Smaller circles don't always mean loneliness. They can mean clarity and deeper fulfillment. Joy comes from quality of presence, not quantity of friends. Seniors thrive when maintaining even small points of connection: a phone call, shared tea, or neighbor visits. These moments remind them they're not invisible, forgotten, or burdensome. Shrinking circles reflect both wisdom and vulnerability, teaching older adults to guard energy, protect peace, and invest time carefully while needing reassurance that their presence matters. One of the most painful yet often unspoken experiences for many seniors is the feeling of becoming invisible. This isn't about being physically unseen, but emotionally overlooked. Even when surrounded by family, friends, or community, older adults sometimes feel their words, needs, or emotions no longer carry the same weight. Psychologists call this emotional invalidation, the quiet dismissal of someone's inner life. Ella, the retired teacher we met earlier, faced this constantly. At family gatherings, she would begin sharing a memory, only to notice younger relatives interrupting or shifting attention back to their phones. No one intended harm, but the effect was the same. She felt unheard. After years of such moments, Ella decided it was easier to stay silent. This phenomenon happens in subtle ways. A senior starts a story, but others finish it for them. Advice or concerns are brushed off. Expressions of sadness or worry are met with quick fixes instead of real listening. Each small moment communicates. What you feel doesn't matter as much. Over time, this builds into a sense of invisibility. Cultural shifts intensify the problem. In a world that celebrates youth, speed, and innovation, the slower pace and reflective wisdom of older adults can be overlooked. Seniors notice that in group settings, people talk over them, or they wait longer to be acknowledged. It's not always intentional, but the result feels the same muted presence. This emotional invalidation fuels the belief that I am a burden. If your words no longer seem valued, it's easy to think your presence isn't valued either. Seniors may withdraw from conversations, family events, or healthcare discussions because they feel unheard. Ironically, their silence then reinforces the cycle. While the senior retreats further, the reality is that invisibility doesn't mean irrelevance. The wisdom, humor, and perspective of seniors are treasures, even if society sometimes forgets to notice. The challenge is twofold. Seniors must assert their voice, and families must learn to slow down and truly listen. For example, Grace, who once avoided relatives because of draining interactions, later found comfort in a smaller circle of friends who valued her deeply. Their genuine attention restored her sense of dignity. Emotional validation doesn't require many people, just a few who truly care. There is also strength in storytelling, sharing life experiences, not as lectures, but as gifts, helps reclaim presence. When younger generations take time to ask questions, Grandma, what was it like when you were my age? It creates bridges across silence. From a psychological perspective, being heard affirms identity. It reminds seniors that they are still participants in life, not just observers. Even small acknowledgments, eye contact, patient listening, gentle questions can counter years of feeling invisible. Emotional invalidation is rarely about malice. It often comes from busyness, distraction, or cultural blind spots. Its effect is heavy, leading seniors to believe they are too much or no longer needed. Recognizing this hidden wound is the first step to healing it. Seniors are not invisible. They are living libraries of experience, resilience, and love. When their voices are honored, they feel whole, and families and communities grow richer too. At the heart of the psychology of feeling like a burden lies something surprisingly tender: love. Many seniors don't withdraw because they've stopped caring about others. Quite the opposite. They pull back precisely because they care too much. The desire not to trouble children, grandchildren, or friends often comes from a deep sense of duty and devotion. Take Herbert, the 84-year-old widower we met earlier. He adored his weekends with his daughter's family. But as walking grew difficult, he began to decline visits. His reasoning: they have their own lives. I don't want to hold them back. In his heart, this wasn't avoidance. It was sacrifice, an act of love disguised as absence. This mindset is rooted in decades of being the giver. Seniors remember years of parenting, working, providing, and ensuring everyone else's needs were met. To suddenly switch roles to receive more than they give can feel uncomfortable, even unfair. They think, I've done my part. I shouldn't take more than I deserve. The fear isn't just about dependency, it's about upsetting the balance of love. Many also equate asking for help with taking away time, freedom, or opportunities from younger generations. Ella, the retired teacher, once confessed, when I ask my daughter for help, I picture her dropping everything for me. I don't want her to resent me later. Her silence wasn't about pride. It was about preserving the relationship. This fear is amplified by cultural messages. In Western culture, Independence is prized, while dependency is often painted as weakness. Seniors, raised in that value system, may believe that the most loving act is to minimize their needs. Ironically, this self-protection sometimes denies family members the chance to give back. Because here's the truth, for many adult children, caring for an aging parent is not a burden, it's a privilege. It's a way of saying thank you for decades of care, of showing gratitude in action. George Bosher once thought asking for help was selfish. But when his son insisted on helping with groceries, George realized it gave him joy. Psychologists describe this as the reciprocity of love. Relationships are not one-way streets. In youth, parents give and children receive. In later life, the cycle reverses, not out of pity, but out of balance. When seniors hold back, trying not to be a burden, they unintentionally block this natural flow. There's also the spiritual layer. Many seniors worry about the legacy they leave behind. They don't want their final years remembered as exhausting or demanding. They want to be recalled for their laughter, wisdom, and warmth. This fuels the instinct to hide struggles, smile through pain, or say, "I'm fine," even when it's not true. But reframing is powerful. Love is not measured by keeping score by who gives and who takes. It's measured by connection, presence, and shared humanity. When a senior accepts help, they are not reducing their value. They are allowing someone else to practice love. True duty is not about sparing loved ones from every inconvenience. It's about modeling grace, showing that needing help doesn't erase dignity. Letting others in can deepen bonds. Many families say the most meaningful memories are not of perfect independence, but of sitting together, sharing vulnerability, and caring for one another. The psychology of not wanting to be a burden, then, is less about weakness and more about love expressed through restraint. Seniors aren't pulling away because they've stopped loving. They're pulling away because they love too much. Sometimes, the greater act of love is allowing others to give back. In the end, presence is the greatest gift. Not independence, not self-sufficiency. Simply being there, in all stages of life, is what matters most. If you've ever whispered to yourself, "I don't want to be a burden," let this be your reminder. Feeling that way does not mean you are one. These thoughts often come from love, dignity, and a lifetime of caring for others, not from weakness. It's natural to notice changes with age, slower recovery, smaller circles, new dependencies. But none of these erase your worth. They simply shift the way you give and receive. Your family and friends do not value you only for what you do. They love you for who you are. Your presence, your wisdom, your laughter, your history. The truth is, those who care about you want to help, not out of duty, but out of devotion. Accepting support doesn't diminish your independence. It strengthens the bond between you and the people you love. Saying yes to help often gives others the gift of expressing gratitude and love. In return, you may worry that your struggles overshadow your story. But in reality, the moments of vulnerability, the times when you allowed someone to walk beside you, are what deepen connection. You are not remembered as a burden. You are remembered as someone who mattered, who gave love, and who allowed love to flow back. So, if you carry this quiet fear, breathe. You are not too much. You are not in the way. You are still needed, still seen, still loved. We've explored the hidden psychology behind why so many seniors quietly feel like a burden. Those feelings aren't signs of weakness, but signs of love, dignity, and humanity. We saw how the fear of losing independence can make even simple requests feel like surrender. We talked about the conflict between dignity and dependency, where refusing help feels safer than risking pride. We looked at shrinking social circles and the pain of emotional invalidation. Seniors often withdraw, not because they want less love, but because they want to protect the people they care about. It's an act of devotion, even if it feels like distance. You are not a burden. Your presence is a gift. Every story, every laugh, every quiet moment is part of the legacy you continue to weave. Independence may shift, role may change, but your worth is measured by the love you give and allow others to return. Instead of asking, "Am I a burden?" try asking, "How can I share myself in ways that bring connection?" Sometimes that means saying yes to help, speaking up, or simply sitting beside someone you love. Knowing your presence is more than enough. Aging doesn't erase value. It reveals it. Your life, with all its chapters, continues to be a story worth honoring. As we close, let this truth settle in your heart. You are not a burden. You are a story, a memory, a presence that still matters deeply. Aging doesn't take that away. It only reshapes the way love flows between you and the people around you. Yes, the body slows down. Yes, social circles may shrink. Yes, it may feel harder to ask for help. But none of these erase the value of your presence. Your family and friends don't cherish you for your ability to do everything alone. They cherish you because of the person you are, the wisdom, love, and light you bring. So the next time you hesitate to ask for help, remember allowing others to support you is not weakness. It is a gift. It lets your loved ones express gratitude, compassion, and devotion in ways they've been waiting to show. I'd like to leave you with a gentle question. Have you ever felt this quiet fear of being a burden? And if so, what helped you move through it? Share your reflections in the comments. We learned so much from each other's stories. And if today's message touched your heart, consider subscribing for more reflections on senior life wisdom. Together, let's keep reminding each other that growing older is not about losing worth. It's about revealing it.